Good morning. Hello, year 10 students. This quick video is just going to unpack a sample assessment piece for you for this blog online article that we are currently working on. This first part is going to, where I'm going to read through the article in its entirety. This first little clip we have here, or section of it, is looking at the idea of cohesion and how I've included a extended metaphor throughout to look at the example of prejudice. So the red highlighted parts are a bit about cohesion and linking in a analogy of fire to describe the prejudice that I will go on to analyze in a moment. Title: Read fiction and purge the fires of our past. Reading literature expels the truths of our past and can help us to extinguish the flames of prejudice in our world today. Straight away, we can see a cohesion between the title and the byline. Okay, so the byline here is my thesis. Okay, reading literature expels the truths of our past and can help us to extinguish the flames of prejudice in our world today. Okay, so we've said there are fires. We want to extinguish the fire. So there's a direct correlation between title and byline. Remember, in our introduction, we want to introduce the concept of prejudice in a way that's going to hook our readers and make them see that this is a very, very important thing. And we want to hook them into reading to learn more about it. Rising from the fire of colonialism, our country, the country we love, is continuing to burn in the ashes of the past. Peppered with toxic discrimination of our First Peoples, our history since Captain Cook first arrived on our shores is a shameful indictment on our culture. Ironically, it's not just Indigenous Australians who are licked with the flames of discrimination. It's also the immigrants to Australia today, immigrants like Captain Cook and the first settlers, who are prejudiced against. Prejudiced for the colour of their skin, for their race, for their nationality, prejudiced for living. We are a burning inferno. So that idea of fire to describe the significance of prejudice is developed throughout that short introduction. This final sentence here of my introducing the concept of prejudice: we are a burning inferno. It is a power sentence. It is a sentence that builds strong emotions within the reader, and it makes them think that we, as a country, Australia, are a burning inferno, and it's continuing to burn today. So this idea of prejudice is still rife in our country today, which is what I go on to do in this section here. So I've introduced the concept of prejudice. I've said it's not just Indigenous Australians, it's also immigrants. And then as a result of that, this paragraph here looks at that. Unsurprisingly, although still somewhat shockingly, out of 3,000 participants in an Australian national university, 84.4% of Asian Australians reported at least one instance of discrimination last year. There's no doubt that coronavirus played a part in this. Donald Trump, the leader of the free world, added fuel to the fire. His obnoxious, uneducated and misinformed perception of COVID-19 as the Chinese virus cast aspersions against all innocent Asians. Suddenly, every Asian, regardless of their nationality, were seen as the cause of COVID. So this idea of adding fuel to the fire, we have this fire analogy beginning up here, and it's continuing, and it's the person who is adding fuel to that fire. One of the people who is continuing to build this fire is Donald Trump. So we looked at how his little tweet, which is over here, impacted the representation of Asians around the world, and that led into this quote, this statistic here, which is hyperlinked to the article where I got it from, that 84.4% of Asian Australians. So everything is linked together. There is nothing in this that is in isolation. Okay, there is nothing in my introduction which doesn't relate to another part of it. From the title to the byline to the introduction to introducing it today, it's all very, very cohesive, and that's something that we need to think about as we write. Following on with this introduction, you can see that there are two images here. The images are not random images of the front cover of Jasper Jones, which do not relate anywhere to what I'm talking about here. The images relate to exactly what it is that this introduction is talking about. This part here is talking about colonization, and this part here is obviously talking about Donald Trump's tweet. So I found his tweet, I put that in, and I formatted it in, and I formatted in the image. The caption, you can actually, if you right click your image and go to insert caption, it'll bring up this little box for you, and you can actually put in the caption, and it will put it in for you, and then you can just move it around to make it fit where you want it to fit. Okay, so that introduction there, just looking at it from the perspective of that fire analogy, we can see how we can instantly hook in a reader by having like an interesting, engaging, insightful metaphor, extended metaphor to engage them. And that is something that will continue throughout